This is one fact for every character from Family Guy. Starting with everyone's favorite ladies' man, Glenn Quagmire. With a body count of over 1,000 women, Quagmire has certainly made his way around town, and that includes his best friend's wives. That's right, Quagmire has slept with each of the guy's partners. In an alternate future where Peter and Lois don't end up together, Quagmire quickly steals Lois's heart.
Let's go play schoolgirl and guy who has with schoolgirl.
And together they make some truly nightmarish children. And in another episode where everyone thought the world was about to end, Quagmire tricks Joe into letting him get it on with Bonnie.
I don't want to die of help me, please. Let me have with Bonnie.
Really? That's on Joe for falling for the most obvious lie of the century. The least Quagmire could do is be thankful for Joe's stupidity.
Screw you!
But Cleveland holds the award for the one that Quagmire's betrayed the most, as he slept with 2 of Cleveland's partners. First, his former wife Loretta.
What was that?
Shut up and put some more of that sugar in my bowl.
And second, Cleveland's girlfriend at the time, Carolyn.
Carolyn? Quagmire?
Cleveland, close the window! You're letting the stank out!
The fact the guys haven't banded together to beat this man with hammers is beyond me. Now let's look on the other side of the street to the home of Joe Swanson. The paraplegic cop seamlessly fits into the friend group of himself, Peter, Quagmire, and Cleveland, though Joe is the only one out of that group to not appear in the show's first episode. While not named, Quagmire gets a brief speaking role in the episode.
Hey, who wants to play Drink the Beer?
Right here.
And while Cleveland doesn't have a speaking role, he does appear amongst the court attendees for Peter's trial. And instead of keeping these colorful characters around, the show decided to introduce Joe in the 5th episode of season 1, A Hero Sits Next Door.
You must be Peter. Joe Swanson.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Phil.
And the rest is history. Joe found some friends who also doubled as chronic headache makers. But you can't have Joe without his wife Bonnie, who may not have actually been named Bonnie during the whole show. In production, she was first referred to as Debbie, though her name was switched to Bonnie before her first appearance in A Hero Sits Next Door.
With number 2 on the way, Joe thought it was time to move, and I can't say no to Joe.
But I guess she can say no to auburn hair, as that also changed and became black for the rest of the series. Anyway, there are still hints of Bonnie's original name that have trickled into the show. When season 1 was released in the UK, the description for the first episode allegedly referred to Bonnie as Debbie. But she was even called Debbie in the show once in the episode Love Thy Trophy.
When I get him home, I swear to God, I'm gonna grease up
That's fine, Debbie.
According to Lois's voice actor, Alex Borstein, this was a slip-up she made that nobody seemed to catch. Could you imagine if this happened now? Someone would be writing the dumbest hour-long analysis video you've ever heard on it. But there's not really too much to say about their son, Kevin Swanson, who is thought to have died in Iraq, but actually went AWOL. In the earlier seasons, Kevin was yet another voice provided by Seth MacFarlane, but since his return in the season 10 episode Thanksgiving, he's been voiced by Scott Grimes, who also voices Steve Smith in American Dad.
I guess we got some catching up to do, huh? Hope you don't get scared when I scream and have night terrors.
Hopefully the show won't waste Grimes' talents and give Kevin a power ballad or two.
Dad is gone, and we're not going home.
His younger sister Susie is a bit more interesting, as Bonnie's pregnancy was one of her defining traits for several seasons. From Bonnie's first appearance in season 1 to Susie's eventual birth in season 7, Bonnie carried Susie for at least 7 years. But it's not like Family Guy gives a damn about the passage of time.
Bonnie, you've been pregnant for like 6 years, all right? Either have the baby or don't.
Now, I'm no medical professional, but since they acknowledge it, would this mean Susie is technically like 6 or 7 years old? I mean, she does have a mature inner voice to suit that age.
This is Patrick Stewart. How are you liking the program so far?
And as we cross the street again, we take a look at the Brown family, starting with the slow-talking patriarch, Cleveland. He holds the record for going the longest before his voice actor was changed. From season 1 through the Cleveland show and even to the end of season 18, Cleveland was voiced by Mike Henry.
Just spread them out. Don't make any one room too giraffe.
But come season 19, Henry stepped down from the role and was replaced by Arif Zahir, though some of Henry's lines could still be heard in holdover episodes from the previous season.
This is terrible. I have such a hard time saying goodbye.
It's safe to say Zahir got the role after years of doing impressions on his YouTube channel, Azers.
It took almost 400 years for a black character to have his own sitcom, The Proud Family. Let me do my thing.
Don't ever let them tell you trolling on Call of Duty won't lead to career opportunities. And Cleveland's had 2 wives in the show's 25 years, so let's start with looking at his first wife, Loretta. Cleveland and Loretta would divorce in the season 4 episode The Cleveland-Loretta Quagmire, with her only having a handful of appearances on the show after that until she was killed off in the Cleveland show episode Gone with the Wind.
No, 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 no!
Oh, God!
Well, at least they gave her a tasteful death. While some may assume the writers just had nowhere else to take this character, her exit from the show was largely at the request of Loretta's voice actor, Alex Borstein, who found the character's voice to be too demanding on her throat. A terrible day for all three of those Loretta Brown fanboys out there. But even before Loretta's death, Cleveland found himself a new wife in Donna Tubbs, who he reconnected with when he moved back to Virginia. The two went from high school friends to lovers, though Cleveland didn't seem to know the real Donna. It turns out Donna wears a wig, has drawn-on eyebrows and lips, and pads her bra.
And do you really think a woman who's breastfed 2 kids can still be this perky? Please!
Technically, everything is drawn on her considering she's a cartoon character, but her honesty is still pretty admirable. And though Cleveland has had the same son this entire time, Cleveland Jr. has gone through quite the dramatic change in appearance. From season 2 to season 4, Jr. is portrayed as a hyperactive, energetic kid.
Fat boy smelled a hot dog. Couldn't help it. Went right in.
But Jr. would be largely absent from the show for 4 seasons until he and Cleveland left Quahog for the Cleveland show. But now he featured a much rounder, much more lethargic appearance.
Dad, when am I gonna get hair around my grit?
Oh yeah, he would also start getting uncomfortably close with his father around this time. So there are 2 possibilities for Junior's sudden change in character. An animatic for season 7's episode Love Actually shows Junior in his new appearance, with the reasoning being that it was a side effect of his Ritalin prescription, which is a mood-stabilizing medication. However, this scene ultimately wasn't used in the final product. But the Cleveland show presents a different theory, with the current Junior being a secret agent who killed the original Junior.
I'm Tiger Woods. I'm Tiger Woods.
Though the episode hints this could have all been a dream, I'll leave it up to you to decide on your own headcanon. And when Cleveland married Donna, he gained 2 stepchildren. The eldest is Donna's daughter Roberta, who since moving to Quahog and joining the Family Guy cast has not had a single line of dialogue in the 10 seasons she's been present. She didn't even appear in the season 8 episode The Splendid Source, where the gang happens to visit Stoolbend in Cleveland's new life.
Somebody colored in your Jesus.
Somebody colored in your ass with too much ass, fat ass.
Donna Jr. and Rallo all make a speaking appearance, but not Roberta. Typical teenagers being too cool for a cameo appearance. Truthfully, Roberta would be used less and less in her own show, as her voice actor Regan Gomez was pregnant during the productions of seasons 2 and 3. Maybe pregnancy made it too hard to sound like an uncaring teen. But Roberta's younger brother Rallo would get a little extra playtime on Family Guy, but not by much. Before Cleveland moved back to Quahog, Rallo did earn himself a cameo in Family Guy's final Star Wars parody, It's a Trap, portraying Nine Nub. I'm sure that was a huge honor.
The shield may be down, but they've gone into glitter ball mode.
Once the Browns did move to Quahog, Rallo would only speak in that initial episode.
Sup, man?
Yeah, sup. Keep walking, you boondocks ripoff.
Rallo must have taken that to heart, because after that episode, he hasn't said a single word in the following 10 seasons. Stewie must have really cornered the market on talking baby characters. But let's take a look at the bigger world of Quahog outside Spooner Street, starting with our former beloved mayor, Adam West. Next to his role as the quirky, irresponsible mayor, Adam West is perhaps best known as the actor behind Batman from 1966 to 1968 and in various reprisals later on.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
But while the worlds of Batman and mayoring hardly ever cross paths on Family Guy, they did coalesce when West would portray Mayor Marion Grange in the 2004 series The Batman.
And how do you justify what you did to 3 of Gotham PD's finest today?
If I had a nickel for every time Adam West played an animated mayor, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice, right? Next up is Dr. Hartman, the Griffin family's primary physician. Which is unfortunate because this guy isn't the best at what he does.
Nurse, who's the worst doctor in this hospital?
You are, Dr. Hartman.
Good, put Hartman on this bozo.
And if you've watched a lot of animation and the name Hartman sounds familiar, well, there's a good reason for that. Dr. Elmer Hartman is named after Seth MacFarlane's good friend and fellow animator, Butch Hartman. If you're a child of the 2000s, you'll recognize Hartman's works in his shows The Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom. Hartman even voices a doctor character in the former, Dr. Rip Studwell. And it all comes full circle. But he's not the only character in the medical field as we move on to Mort Goldman, the neurotic owner of Goldman's Pharmacy. Mort's voiced by John G. Brennan, also known as Johnny B, one half of the New York-based prank call comedy duo, The Jerky Boys. And one of Brennan's recurring characters, Saul Rosenberg, sounds awfully familiar.
Yeah, but he's an I couldn't see so good from the Empire State Building.
What a career trajectory. One day you're wasting people's time doing funny voices, the next you're a regular on a hit show. Now that's the dream.
Thank you very much.
As for his late wife Muriel, well, there's honestly not too much to talk about. She is technically the aunt of a famous actress.
Peter, this is our niece, Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Nice to meet you.
All right, I'm getting up.
And that's about as good as it gets with Muriel. Other than that, she's a great substitute for a knife block, but she is the mother of Neil Goldman, who's in Meg's grade and constantly pines over her.
You rejected me too many times, Meg. I couldn't wait for you forever.
Even though he obviously takes his last name from his parents, his name actually goes a bit deeper. In truth, he shares the same name as an early writer for Family Guy named, you guessed it, Neil Goldman. Goldman was a co-writer on classic episodes like Da Boom, Running Mates, Mind Over Murder, and E. Peterbus Unum. I guess it's no wonder that Neil's drawn to being an editor for the school paper.
You never seem to be that interested in journalism. Or journalists, such as myself.
And for all your breaking news needs, you can rely on Tom Tucker to give you the story. Tom's yet another name on the long list of characters voiced by series creator Seth MacFarlane.
Good morning, I'm Tom Tucker. Coming up, the secret to remaining upbeat after getting an elderly waitress.
But this may be one of MacFarlane's least popular voices, as he once revealed on a Facebook Q&A that Tom Tucker was the voice fans requested he do the least. I guess everyone must always be asking for that iconic Jasper voice instead. Tom's former broadcast partner Diane Simmons is up next. Although she was present on the show for 9 seasons, she didn't have a ton of memorable moments. That is, until she became the main antagonist of the premiere episode of season 9, and then there were fewer. Although Diane doesn't possess the same extensive body count as characters like Stewie or Peter, she does hold the distinction of having killed the most named characters on the show. These include Quagmire's date Stephanie,
Did the cork hit me?
actor James Woods,
Look!
co-owner of Goldman's Pharmacy, Muriel Goldman,
Oh my God!
Jillian's husband, Derek Wilcox,
Dear God!
and James Woods' girlfriend, Priscilla. Unfortunately, we can never forgive Diane for robbing us of all the potentially amazing Muriel and Derek episodes we could have gotten. Diane's replacement would come in the form of Joyce Kinney. Joyce's hiring is a bit ironic, considering the reason why Diane went on her murderous rampage in the first place.
Tom began pushing Channel 5 News to replace me with a fresh young face.
When she turned 40, Diane believed she would be phased out. Surely the old dinosaur could have enjoyed retirement. But what's funny is that Joyce may actually be older than Diane. In season 9's And I'm Joyce Kinney, it's revealed that Lois and Joyce went to high school together.
We went to high school together, Lois. Chemistry class, freshman year, Joycey.
And with Lois's last reported age being 42, that means Joyce would have had to have been around the same age. Well, hopefully Diane can see the funny side of this from all the way down there. And now for the weather, we go to Ollie Williams. How's it looking out there, Ollie?
It's gonna rain!
Thanks, Ollie. These are pretty much the extent of his scenes on the show, quick bursts of yelling about stuff. But it didn't always used to be like this, as Ollie's manner of speech appears to be a product of his alcoholism.
This poor gentleman used to speak in long, eloquent sentences, but after years of drinking, he can only speak in short, choppy utterances.
I would have liked to see that. Ollie seems like a man of culture. Rounding out the Channel 5 news team is Asian reporter Tricia Takanawa. I don't think that's actually a legitimate title, but that's how she's typically introduced on her breaking news bulletins. Anyways, while Tricia is usually pretty monotone and composed in her delivery, she does have a weakness for her celebrity crush David Bowie.
Oh, man, love to Miss Ziggy Stardust. I take you home. I make you fish ball soup.
Always nice to see the writers handle other ethnicities with the utmost respect and quality. Next up is Peter's most consistent enemy, Ernie, aka the Giant Chicken. Most of the two's interactions go about the same way.
Oh, crap.
Their encounters are usually long and violent and tend to result in millions in property damage. They're so entertaining that you kind of forget that these scenes feel like padding to make shorter episodes longer. But their rivalry was almost cut short in the season 10 episode Internal Affairs. According to the DVD commentary for the season 13 episode The Simpsons Guy, Seth MacFarlane wanted this fight to result in Ernie's death, but was talked out of this decision by Family Guy's supervising director, Peter Shin. This was done so the chicken could be included in the eventual Family Guy movie they were developing. It's a hell of a battle, but as we see by the end, Ernie lives to fight another day. That's all well and good, but what's the status of that movie? My guess is it's just going to be an hour-and-a-half Conway Twitty concert. And if they do ever do that movie, then they better include Consuela, our favorite maid whose only hobby is telling people no.
No.
But Consuela has the unique distinction of being a character that originated in a cutaway before becoming a mainstay character. Her first appearance was in the season 6 episode Believe It or Not, Joe's Walking on Air.
And what exactly are your demands?
We need more lemon pledge.
Hopefully she can get to LPA to help with her addiction to that stuff. What, you haven't heard of Lemon Pledge Anonymous? But Consuela escapes Cutaway Land and makes it into the main world of the show when she briefly becomes the Griffin's household maid.
Here's $40 if you leave right now.
No, I stay.
A haggling expert, that one. And from there, Consuela stayed a somewhat prominent character, bringing her light dusting skills to the world of Quahog. And another hardworking citizen of Quahog is Bruce. I'm not sure if this guy just can't hold down a job or just really likes to work, because he sure does switch occupations a lot. Bruce has held at least 14 jobs over the course of the series, and I guess I gotta name all of them. He's worked as the clerk of a Halloween store, a CPR teacher, a psychic medium, a priest, a hypnotherapist, a masseuse, both a bowling alley shoe counterman and snack bar attendee, a referee, a laser tag operator, a production assistant on an adult film set, waste management duty, and a couples counselor. I would not envy this man when it comes time to file his taxes.
I'm still sober. This ain't cheating.
But everyone's favorite neighborhood creep, John Herbert, is up next. Herbert's mostly known for flirting with Chris at every chance he gets, most notably when Chris used to deliver newspapers to him.
That's a nice muscly throwing arm you got there.
Thanks.
And while Herbert remained the inspiration for the phrase stranger danger for the rest of the series, the role he played in Chris's life was almost slightly different. According to the DVD commentary for Herbert's debut episode, To Love and Die in Dixie, the old man was originally going to play the role of a bus driver Chris would get weirded out by and try to avoid any way he could. I guess the idea of giving this guy easy access to a busload of children probably wasn't the right call, so the writers decided to just let Herbert long for Chris from afar.
Get your fat ass back here.
From one old guy to the next, we move on to the salty sea dog made of sandalwood, Seamus. Despite possessing no hands or fingers, Seamus doesn't let his disability get in the way of him doing normal things, like writing, dating, and owning a phone. Speaking of that last one, we actually learned Seamus' full phone number in the season 16 episode Follow the Money when Seamus tries to take Meg out on a date. A real pulling names out of a hat pairing from the writers here.
If you're ever free, here's me number.
His number is 917-555-0112. Now, what's a Rhode Island-based sailor doing with a New York City area code? What's interesting is that Peter has almost the exact same phone number, though no area code is given, but we could assume that means he has the 401 Rhode Island area code. And if you're wondering, no, nothing cool happens when you call those numbers, unfortunately. Phone numbers with 555 are unassigned by the North American Numbering Plan Administration, so it's not uncommon for movies and TV shows to use similar phone numbers for their characters. Still, now I'm dying to know all about Seamus' former life as an NYC borough dweller.
How the hell are you alive?
And although he doesn't appear too often in the show nowadays, the evil monkey is such an iconic part of Family Guy's history that we couldn't possibly forget about him. He spent most of his time angrily pointing at Chris until the pair later became friends after clearing up some misunderstandings about the monkey.
Friendship is the best thing ever, except for best friendship, which is a little better.
But I guess not too close of friends, because Chris, and by extension us, never learned the monkey's real name. But according to the DVD commentary for the season 8 episode Hannah Banana, writer for the show and voice actor behind the monkey, Danny Smith, really wanted to name the monkey Gunner. Unfortunately for Smith, the writing team stated they couldn't take the name seriously and rejected it. Props to him for thinking outside the monkey barrel, though.
I'd get up to hug you, but sitting down's the only thing keeping the poop in.
Nah, that's okay.
So evil monkey he remained. But it's not the worst thing to only be known as your species with an adjective in front. It's worked out pretty well for me so far. And speaking of iconic but lesser used characters, who remembers the greased up deaf guy? Like the monkey, he's exactly what his name implies him to be.
You're never gonna catch me. You're wasting your time. Forget about it.
But this guy wasn't always the slick, hard-of-hearing character we've grown to know and love. As seen in reverse in the season 11 episode Yug Yillamaf, he was just an ordinary guy before a tragic accident.
The grease burns so bad, I can't hear.
Boy, I am late for that meeting.
Normally a freak accident like this would have turned him into some kind of superhero, but he really got the short end of the greased up stick here. And next up is the principal of Adam West High, formerly known as James Woods High, Principal Shepard. This guy does not have the best luck with relationships, having been divorced at least 3 times over the course of the show. We hear of his first divorce from a woman named Lorraine in season 15's The Peter Principal.
Which also happens to be where Lorraine has threatened to take my children across the country.
And he's seen arguing with another ex-wife, Fiona, in season 16's Crimes and Meg's Demeanor, who Brian thinks Shepard ended up killing.
I didn't kill my wife. She just texted me today that she's moved out and she's banging my cousin.
And finally, his latest ex-wife in season 21's White Meg Can't Jump even wins the last word of the episode from their divorce proceedings.
I'm Felicia Leggett Shepard, and I won this voiceover in the divorce.
Well, you know what they say. Fourth time's the charm. And sticking with the high school, let's look at its most popular student, Connie D'Amico. The bane of Meg's high school experience doesn't have much to uncover underneath her mean girl shtick, but she did almost go by a different name in the show.
Don't ever listen to me talk. You don't deserve my words.
According to the DVD commentary for the Season 5 episode Barely Legal, Connie's original last name was going to be Mercedes. This was later changed to D'Amico as writer Danny Smith saw that Meg's voice actor Mila Kunis had trouble pronouncing the name consistently, so they made it slightly easier for her. Teamwork makes the dream work, baby.
You want my help? You can go yourself.
And next up is Death, the shrouded skeleton responsible for the death of everybody in human history. You'd have thought the police would have done something about a guy going around killing everyone, right?
I just kind of fell into this gig. You know, I really wanted to be a wood nymph.
Well, while Death isn't the biggest fan of his own work, he almost landed the role of a lifetime in Family Guy's Star Wars parodies. According to bonus content on the DVD for Something 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 Dark Side, Death was originally penciled in to play the role of the Emperor. I can kind of see it, what with the black cloak and all, but when it came time to write the final episode in the trilogy, It's a Trap, the writers realized Carter Pewterschmidt would be a much better fit and scrapped Death from the specials altogether.
Look at the crappy job your friends are doing.
But Carter is getting pretty old, so Death may have his revenge soon enough. And following him up is Jerome, who was meant to be Cleveland's replacement after he left for his own show. There isn't too much to know about Jerome, but apparently he's a bronze medalist in track and field from the 1984 Olympics. I bet that's quite the story.
How much time you got?
We got about 7 minutes and I haven't gone yet. Rocky.
So I guess we'll never know, but hopefully the show will give its smoothest character the spotlight again one day. And Quagmire's dad, who became his second mom, Ida Davis, is up next. Before the transition, Ida was known as Daniel Dan Quagmire, a decorated Vietnam pilot and war hero.
Look at you, you're a chow hound, aren't you, Pete?
According to the DVD commentary of Quagmire's Quagmire, the design for the character was greatly influenced by the look of English actor Paul Bettany, who you may know as Jarvis and eventually Vision from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I guess they also thought Bettany would look good as a woman with blonde hair. Just something for Paul to keep in mind if he ever wants to mix it up, I guess. Next up is Jillian Russell Wilcox, Brian's one-time girlfriend who's a bit on the slow side.
It's good, right? I just wish they didn't have to kill so many lemons to make it.
It's like there's one of those symbol monkeys up in that brain of hers. She only stays with Brian for about one season before they break up, with Jillian eventually marrying a man named Derek Wilcox.
I'm sorry, but I'm in love with Derek now.
Derek is unfortunately killed in season 9's And Then There Were Fewer, but the extended cut of that episode reveals that Derek didn't completely leave Jillian on her own.
It's too dangerous, especially with Derek Jr. on the way.
So apparently Jillian was supposed to be pregnant, but I guess they decided to cut that out of the episode so it wouldn't have to be followed up on. There's only room for one baby brain in the household, and her name is Jillian. And if you were ever wondering about the judge character that's always presiding over the court cases in Quahog, well, he has a pretty on-the-nose name.
Court is now in session. Judge Dignified Q. Blackman presiding.
Well, with a name like that, I gotta know what the Q stands for. It also makes me wonder what the other judge in Quahog's name is, mostly because he looks exactly like this judge, only he's white.
So you are free to go. Straight to jail.
Was this a simple mix-up, or is this actually supposed to be another judge? We may never know, but for now, I guess we'll just refer to him as Judge Honorable T. Whiteman. Next up is one of the show's most persistent antagonists, James Woods. Modeled after and voiced by the real-life actor, Woods is so persistent that he actually rose from his grave to continue making life a living hell for others.
And in accordance with Hollywood law, her life force was infused into me, bringing me back from the dead.
To date, Woods is the only character that has been killed off as part of a story and was brought back later down the line. Brian comes close, but his death was technically prevented rather than reversed. Yeah, it comes down to semantics, but it's my list. You can send your complaints to my agent. But someone who didn't come back is Angela, which makes total sense as her voice actor Carrie Fisher sadly passed away in 2016. Fisher was perhaps most well known for her portrayal of Princess Leia in the Star Wars franchise, but through Angela, she portrayed another lesser-known Star Wars character named Mon Mothma in the third Star Wars parody episode, It's a Trap.
The Emperor has made a critical error, and the time for our attack has come.
This gives Fisher the unique distinction of being one of the only voice actors on Family Guy to have portrayed two different Star Wars characters. This distinction also goes to Mark Hamill, who voiced the character he made famous, Luke Skywalker, as well as his mentor Obi-Wan Kenobi in A Short Cutaway.
Luke, use the Force.
Really? Because I was just gonna
use the Force.
Okay.
And Angela's favorite employee, Opie, is next up. Opie is, well, he has such a way with words. But much like Ollie Williams, this pattern of speech is directly linked to the amount of alcohol he consumes, as seen when the town briefly raises the drinking age to 50.
And I'm actually thinking about resuming my actuarial practice.
Oh my God, he's just been drunk this whole time?
And Peter thought he was the biggest drunk at the brewery. He's gonna have to get those numbers up. For the longest time, Jeffrey was Bruce's boyfriend who was only ever heard and not seen.
That killer baby from the trial's gone missing. Oh no. I know.
First being heard in season 6, Jeffrey technically wouldn't be seen until season 12, though he's only officially identified in season 14.
Bruce? Jeffrey?
That's right, Mr. Mayor. I needs my Prosecco's.
This gives Jeffrey the unique distinction of a character that has been in the show but wasn't physically seen until 6 seasons after his debut. And to that I say, oh wow. But let's look at a character who we rarely hear from, Stewie's trusted stuffed confidant, Rupert. Stewie and Rupert's relationship goes a lot deeper than just attraction, but most of the time Stewie's seen fantasizing about Rupert being the big strong man of his dreams.
I never knew there could be such a thing as a perfect day.
Don't frolic too much, Rupert.
But if you were to ask Rupert himself, the relationship seems a bit one-sided.
Hey, everybody, just so you know, I'm straight.
It seems like the baby and the bear need to have a very grown-up conversation about their relationship going forward. But let's start looking at the family of the main cast, starting with Lois's wealthy father, Carter Pewterschmidt. Carter resents Peter for marrying his daughter, but as it turns out, the pair might actually be related. In the season 3 episode, Peter Griffin, Husband, Father, Brother, it's revealed that Peter had a black ancestor who was owned by Carter's ancestors.
Lois, your family owned my family.
Daddy, is that true?
Well, it appears so.
But that's not the weird part. We learn more about Peter's ancestor in the season 4 episode untitled Griffin Family History, who had a secret family with one of Carter's ancestors on a plantation.
Aha!
Daddy!
Just as I thought.
So while Carter and Peter may not technically be related by blood, it looks like there's a possibility of them being relatives even without Peter's marriage to Lois. There really is no way for Carter to escape Peter, is there? Lois's mother Barbara, aka Babs, has had a questionable history of children just like her daughter. Other than Lois, she also had another often forgotten daughter named Carol.
And as soon as the baby can crawl, it'll probably leave me too, just like my 8 husbands.
I guess being forgotten is just her character trait. Babs also had a son named Patrick, but Carter locked him away in a mental hospital after being traumatized by witnessing an affair.
Jackie Gleason!
Beat it, kid. Your mother's busy.
I probably would have voluntarily admitted myself if I had to witness that. And while those are the only other Pewterschmidt children we end up seeing, there are hints to others who are no longer with us.
The Pewterschmidts. We had 3 other kids who did not live.
So unless they're grouping Carol and Patrick into the did not live category, there's a possible 3 Pewterschmidt children that Babs mothered that either died before or after childbirth, bringing the total of children to 6. That's rookie numbers, Babs. As we'll find out, your daughter's got you beat by a few. And now on Peter's side of the family, we have Francis Griffin, the man who Peter believed was his father until Francis's death in season 5, where it was revealed that wasn't the case. But everyone knows that. What you may not have known is that Francis was a World War II veteran.
Your dad fought in World War II and you can't even pee in a urinal.
To be fair, peeing into an open trough like that does take soldier-level bravery. Although it's not mentioned what branch he was a part of, there is a possibility that Francis and Herbert may have served in the war together. Now that's a pairing I would have liked to have seen. But Peter would mostly be raised by his mother Thelma, who also died later in Family Guy's run. But Thelma holds an interesting distinction as being the only prominent character to have their voice actor swapped twice because the previous actor had died. In Thelma's first appearance in season 2's Holy Crap, she's voiced by actress Florence Stanley.
Hit me, you 5-card stud. Goddamn!
But Stanley would pass in 2003, so when it came time for Thelma to make another appearance, she was instead voiced by actress Phyllis Diller.
And I'm still a young woman, Peter. 82 is the new 74.
But in 2012, Diller would pass away as well, so the show decided to retire the character altogether.
Peter, your mother is dead. She had a stroke this afternoon and she died.
It was probably for the best. That character is clearly cursed and probably would have killed the next person to take up the mantle. And now it's time to cover the Griffin clan, starting with the middle child, Chris. Since the show's first episode, the main cast has more or less looked the same outside of varying qualities in animation. But Chris is actually the only character to have lost a piece of attire over the seasons. Chris was originally designed with a single gold hoop earring on his left ear, but due to the Korean animators flipping the design to save time, the earring would appear on both ears.
That was fun, Dad.
I'm the man. Yeah.
One earring gives off an air of coolness, a lack of respect for authority. 2 earrings? Well, that's nothing special. so they went ahead and dropped the earring from the design by season 4. Despite this, the earring still appeared in the opening all the way through season 8. Once the show introduced its new high-definition intro in season 9, the earrings were officially gone. It's like I don't even recognize them anymore. And try as we might, we can't forget Meg Griffin, the family's punching bag first and the eldest sibling second. Out of the entire cast, Meg has had the most number of voice actors portray her over the course of the series. In the original pilot for the show, Meg was voiced by Seth MacFarlane's sister Rachel MacFarlane, who also provides the voice of Haley Smith on American Dad.
I remember when Stewie was born. He was the only baby I've ever seen who came out smiling.
How many babies are you exactly witnessing being born, Meg? Hospitals have gotta up their security. Once the show was picked up, Meg would then go on to be voiced by Mean Girls actress Lacey Chabert.
ISUCKED sucked.
Though Chabert would later leave the show after season 1 to focus on school and her role on the show Party of 5. A decision she hopefully won't regret for the rest of her life. She seems to be doing fine. Mila Kunis, known for That 70s Show, would promptly take over the role, and the rest is history.
Who's got a pair of stones big enough to challenge the mighty Meg?
But Kunis has made it clear she does not enjoy singing, so when Meg belted out a tune in earlier seasons, she was usually voiced by someone else, such as Debbie Derryberry, Allie Hillis, and Tara Strong.
Just open up your heart, it'll be alright.
And in an alternate future where Meg transitioned into a man going by Ron, he's voiced by longtime Family Guy voice actor John Viner.
I gotta go shop for a razor, for my face, where I grow my beard.
This puts Meg at 7 voice actors over the years. It's almost like all her voice actors didn't want to be around her for too long either. Up next is the diabolical genius turned flamboyant icon, Stewie Griffin. Creator of the show and voice of the character, Seth MacFarlane, has stated that the voice inspiration for Stewie came from Rex Harrison's performance as Professor Henry Higgins in the 1964 film My Fair Lady.
Why can't a woman be more like a man? Men are so honest.
Funny, that sounds exactly like something Stewie would probably ask himself. Although this high society British accent apparently isn't even Stewie's real voice.
The accent is nothing more than an affectation. A coat of armor to get me through the day.
Ew, don't like that. I think I'm too used to the fake you to accept anything else at this point. The self-proclaimed intellectual of the Griffin family is their dog, Brian Griffin. Brian loves to post tweets that usually get next to no attention. His Twitter handle is @dogbackwards, and this account actually exists, having been created in 2016, though there aren't any tweets on the profile. He probably nuked the whole account after the fallout of that one terrible tweet.
About to see the new Kevin Hart movie. Just kidding, I'm white and went to college.
Another victim of cancel culture, it seems. This account only follows one other account, which happens to be Peter's Twitter account, @PumpkinEater69. Now that account does still have some tweets up, so it looks like Peter's social media reputation is safe. For now. Next up is the matriarch of the family, Lois Griffin. If the show is to be believed, Lois may have given birth to at least 8 children. Of course there's Meg, Chris, and Stewie, but there's also Peter Griffin Jr., who was accidentally killed by Peter.
I'm sorry, Lois. I thought if I shook him enough, he'd stop crying.
Dave Griffin, who was supposed to be Stewie's twin brother.
Oh dear.
Oh no, did Dave not make it?
A child that looks a lot like Stewie, who has a heart attack at Peter's mom's funeral.
Food fight!
A grown man who's been stuck in a movie theater chair for who knows how long.
She's not coming back,
How do you know that?
'Cause she's my mom, too.
An unnamed sister that Meg may have killed when she was younger, though Chris's memory of it is a little fuzzy.
What about the time she strangled our other sister?
Now, Chris, we told you that was just a very bad dream.
And Chris's twin brother, Timis, who was stillborn.
You know, Chris, you and your stillborn twin, Timis, were named after Christmas.
There was almost another child that Lois carried as a surrogate for a later deceased friend, and we know what happened there.
We had the abortion.
3 Griffin spawns are plenty. I don't think the world could handle 8 of those things running around. And finally, the Family Guy himself, Peter Griffin. In Season 2, Episode 1, Peter Caviar Eater, Peter's middle name is revealed to be Lowenbrow.
Lord Peter Lowenbrow Griffin I.
Lowenbrow is the name of a Munich-based brewery in Germany that was founded all the way back in 1383 and is a staple of Munich's Oktoberfest celebrations. I guess he really was born to have alcohol flowing through his veins 24/7. I hope you feel a little more enlightened now, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more great Family Guy content, be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button to make sure you stay up to date when we upload new videos every week.